Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Brian Sullivan. I'm a mid-market rep in Philadelphia and South Jersey. And today I wanted to talk to you about some of the things I'm seeing extremely prevalent within the market space that we work in. And being mid-market, we're really focusing on that sub 1,000 employee type company and challenges that are extremely relevant to them. Now, what we're going to talk about today has plenty of different points or characteristics that you'll find relevant, but I guarantee you that someone in your team, within your IT department and your business, is going to be affected about some of the challenges that we'll talk about today. So what are we seeing in today's IT industry? Well, in today's IT world, there's a couple common asks, and these are going to be no surprises to you, Mr. Customer. These are all things that I'm sure you're talking with your business and IT teams really about today. And these first four things really stem around time to market, whether that be applications, driving that go-live date, whether it be simply procuring new equipment. Secondly, agility. We're always looking to increase our agility, and this really goes hand in hand with our time to market. The idea is we want to be able to support the business as it inevitably changes and grows. Third, performance. You ask anybody within your IT team, any of your end users, increased performance is always a great thing, but we really need to focus on how we drive down our time to market, how we increase our agility, and how we increase performance, all doing so while driving out costs anywhere possible. So let's take a look at the current spend paradigm. Where are we spending our time and money today? And it's pretty astounding when we look at it. 75% of our time is spent maintaining traditional IT. These are the back office operations, the day-to-day management, whether it be through the different user interfaces or the different solutions you have. Maybe it just be spending time and money on power and cooling. These are real, tangible, and financial factors that are impeding the way that we innovate our business. This really only leaves 25% of the time to be driving that transformation with the little budgets that we do have today. Now, where are we spending our time? I think we look at it, we want to understand, well, sure, we spend time architecting and designing these solutions, and what I mean is, whether it be your servers, your switching, and your storage, we need to rack and stack these, we need to connect these. We're plugging in our switching to our servers to our SAN, ensuring that everything is going well and implemented correctly. Secondly, code upgrades and patching, such as Patch Tuesdays. This takes time away from focusing more on the applications that drive the business, but instead maintaining that traditional infrastructure. Third, no surprise here, unexpected and unplanned downtime, whether it be a natural disaster, some type of environmental issue, or simply someone walking by, kicking out a power cord, disrupting any of your IT in that sense. These are the fires that we put out day to day, the mid-market that we live in. Now, all of this means we've got no time to truly drive transformation back to the business because 3/4 of our time is spent just maintaining. So let's look at the trends and what we're seeing. And when we take a step back, it's getting worse. And what do I mean by that? Well, according to Wikibon, there's no surprise here. Data is growing. And for you, Mr. Customer, 44 times may be a little egregious to assume, but the point is your data is growing. So how do we manage that data growth? While doing so with flat to declining resources, both our human and capital resources. What do we need to do? Well, we need change agents. And change agents being something that help us modernize the infrastructure we're using, a modern infrastructure that helps us automate some of those antiquated tasks, whether it be LUN, policy management, helping us transform how we're doing our business. Now, as you can see here, flash technology is fundamentally the first way that we're doing this with our customers. We're absolutely paving the new road for how the mid-market and entry-level SAN storage is being faced, how the mid-level and entry storage is really being flash optimized. So what you'll see here, there's some obvious benefits of flash. Really that being a denser footprint, cheaper power and cooling requirements purely because of less moving parts, and ultimately, we want to drive up performance. our end users are only going to benefit. More processes, more queries we can run, the better business decisions we can make. Now, Flash isn't just about the performance, it's about predictable business outcomes for any application, for any workload, regardless of what type of media it sits on. So, as we continue, architecture does matter. Scale-out type of architecture with many of our solutions allow our customers to scale both compute and storage in a linear fashion. This allows them to adapt to those business needs, those business requirements, and change on the fly. Now, ideally, this really drives that last point. We want to increase the level of agility that we have to allow our customers to do more with the investments they make. Lastly, and definitely not least important, we need a solution that's trusted. With Dell EMC, you don't have to worry about your data being unavailable. The idea here is we focused throughout our organization's history in having a truly trusted product with your data always available, always protected, and always secure. You can sleep well at night knowing that with Dell EMC, your data will be protected. Now, if we take a look at this level of consumption that we've just discussed, it's very much in that traditional sense a siloed type approach, and that's fine. Many of our customers are in that transition phase of we've been doing things a certain way. We have an idea of how we would like to get to a different point, but we're really not sure how to get there. And that's really where EMC comes in and helps. Instead of this three-layer cake of your servers, your networking and switching, and your storage, we're looking at more of an automation. And automation really drives transformation. So we're seeing a pervasive trend towards pre-built consumption models. This is really where our hyper-converged and converged platforms play because it answers that question of build versus buy. Configuring and putting together and architecting and designing, this is low-value work for your human capital. We should be focusing on the application side of the business that enables us to do more, drive more revenue, or minimize risk or cost. Now, as we look at all this, there's a big term that's going around the industry, and that's cloud. There's no ignoring that, and I think it's something that everyone needs to embrace. And that's just what Dell and EMC have done. Now, what I mean by that is purely that whether or not you have a cloud strategy today, if we look 3 to 5 years down the line, we want to give you the tools that will enable you to use the cloud and leverage those economic benefits within EMC solutions. Know that any EMC solution will give you that level of flexibility in the event that you guys do need it today or down the road. Now, as we continue here, we're trying to shift the spend paradigm. We're trying to spend less maintaining our IT and increase more on the innovative and investment side of the business to enable us to do more. The ultimate goal here is really to drive these asks of IT and really drive down our time to market, our agility, increase our performance, and do so with a solution that, from a TCO standpoint over 3 to 5 years, will be the best bang for your buck. That, at a very high level, are some of the trends we're seeing. Like I said, it's no surprise to you, and I guarantee that there's something, if not many things, on that slide that are relevant to you, Mr. Customer. Now, with Dell and EMC, we've coined that 2016 truly is the year of all flash, and I'll get to why that is. When we circle back to these asks of IT, time to market, increasing agility, performance, and driving out cost, we want to look at some of the statistics we're seeing within the marketplace. And I think this is hugely relevant. If we look at just these pure numbers here, they really do tell a good story. Today, the hard disk drive market is a $55 billion market, with SSDs only being $5 billion. Now, if we look 10 years ahead of where we are today, there's a complete flip-flop. And what we're seeing is that the inflection point is 2016, hence the year of all flash. This is where I urge you to challenge not only yourselves, but how you're doing things today, and no longer invest in the shares of Blockbuster as we see here with the hard disk drives. And I joke about this, but it is true. What we're seeing within the marketplace is that the density of these flash drives, the economics, are truly in our favor. Not only are they coming down price, but for example, you can go to Best Buy and buy a 4 terabyte flash drive for $130. It just goes to show, even at a consumer level with iPhones, with cell phones, and laptops, solid-state drives are the storage media of the future, And we're absolutely seeing that not only within the IT industry we're in, but even on the consumer side. Now, one thing I'd like to mention is the density of these drives. I've shown here 15 terabyte flash drives. This is monumental. I talk about driving down costs, and how are we doing that? Well, 15 terabytes of all flash, if you were to ask me a year and a half, 2 years ago what that would cost for a single drive, I'd tell you $200,000 because simply it just wasn't available to my mid-market customers. Today, we've got 3.2 terabyte, 7 terabyte, and soon to be released 15 terabyte flash drives. The benefits are there, the density's there. Invest in something that will have that foreseeable scalability in the future. So how? Why flash? What are we doing? I think what's pretty interesting about flash technology is there are definitely these shared benefits. And obviously, some of these are no surprise. Guaranteed low latency, the data reduction services such as inline compression. These are absolutely benefits, but it also matters at which the architecture and media that we have in these arrays. Now, one of the things that I've mentioned before is how do we automate? Well, for example, eliminating LUN management is a huge thing. I had a customer who was extremely excited to the fact that he no longer had to create different performance LUNs, whether it be for his web applications or something that was a little more intensive, such as his financial or J.D. Edwards application. The fact is, that was a selling point to him and is an extremely viable benefit of the all-flash solution. Now, above and beyond that, there are certain maintenance structures, such as the Expect More program, which are wildly popular with our customer base. Locking in maintenance, flash endurance, and then the 3-year money-back guarantee. We're putting our money where our mouth is with flash because it is where the industry is going, and that's what we're seeing. Now, from a solutions standpoint, we've got the EMC Unity All Flash, and this really is paving a new road for that flagship all-flash storage product in the market. And the numbers speak for themselves. To date, we've actually sold over 2,000 units in 2 short quarters. Our nearest our closest competitor just hit that 2,000 mark, and it took them 5 years. The fact is our customers are voting with their wallet because our technology does speak for itself. Now, on the other side, we know that EMC, we're all about flexibility and choice. And we understand that there's going to be certain applications and certain workloads which require different architecture. And that's really where the EMC vMax All Flash comes into play. Now, if we were to talk about the EMC vMax, in its historical sense, people know it as that flagship product of the enterprise level. They know it's expensive, costly in the sense of maintaining. Now, what we've done is this product is 100% coming down market, and they're adjusting the offerings to be able to give the same level of enterprise-grade quality that we see in being leveraged within that enterprise space down to our mid-market customers. And the numbers, once again, speak for themselves. 500 units and 100 petabytes of flash. Now, when we talk about our all-flash portfolio, we can go back and forth, but there's a couple high points I'd like to note. Now, with the Unity, it's an extremely efficient footprint. Now, this is a huge selling point to our customers, a dense U count. Now, from a power and cooling standpoint, some of our older arrays with the data movers and the workstations took up significant rack space. We've condensed that down to a 2U form factor to start, hugely beneficial to a lot of our customers above and beyond the architecture itself, which is active-active. Now, there's a few things that I'd like to hit on. The first being the HTML5 web-based interface. This eliminates the Java issues, and I can't tell you how important that is to some of our customers. It's a small selling point, but this literally got a standing ovation at EMC World this year. Something to make note of. Now, from a performance and scalability standpoint, I think it's important to note that within the Unity system, it is a scale-up architecture. It has those active-active controllers, but additionally, within that all-flash system, you'll get the benefit of the inline compression, the active-active controllers to eliminate any performance overhead, but more importantly, your data will always be able to generate consistent business outcomes on a flash tier, but additionally, in the event that you need to add capacity, simply scale by adding drives. There's no sense in recreating the wheel here. What we've done is just make it simpler and easier to use. Now, One of the pieces to note with a Unity, which is why we offer flexibility and choice within our portfolio, is that at some point there is a performance versus capacity cliff in the sense that we reach our drive limits in our I/O. And on the EMC Unity, I believe that's about 250,000 IOPS. So what we see here is that there absolutely are use cases where the Vmax comes into play. And the first thing you'll see here is that it is a scale up and scale out design. This bidirectional scale allows the system to both scale by adding engines and controllers, but also by adding simply just drives. You can add 11 terabyte increments of drives today, but additionally, the idea here is that you can linearly scale, but you can also simply just add drives as the business may be rolling out or consolidating a file server onto your Vmax all flash. The benefit here is getting the bang for buck in both worlds, both bidirectionally scaling up and scaling out. Now, the bigger piece here is if I were to ask you, Mr. Customer, what do you know about Vmax all flash? Why would you need it? And they're going to say, well, flash is expensive, we want the performance, but that's what I know about it. Well, although consistent performance and outcomes are absolutely a critical part of what Vmax offers, it really stems around availability and reliability. Some of our customers truly do have those tier 0 critical applications that need to be up and running all the time. I have a specific customer who's estimated their hour of downtime is roughly 60K. This is one of those situations where the justification can be made to management that you need 6 nines of availability. The idea here is that the Vmax gives that level of protection and availability while driving consistent and predictable business outcomes. Now, as we talked about a little bit with the Unity architecture, I want to touch on the Vmax as well. As we can see here in a replicated type environment, we've got our shared memory pool in the middle. We're able to scale both controllers and or engines on either side while also adding those drives. The idea here is simply that bidirectional scale I've talked about that allows us to rapidly and effectively adapt to our business changes. Now, what you see here compared to the Unity is that because of this bidirectional scale, it allows you to continually expand both your capacity and or your performance and throughput. Like I said, this is giving our customers a level of flexibility that's unmatched with data services, both inline, deduplication, compression on the Vmax, well as the compression on the Unity. Like I've said, we've got a solution that can absolutely fit your needs, and there's specific use cases for both of these. So I know I've thrown a lot at you today. There's a couple main points I want to hit on. We need to challenge our customers to think about flash differently, to think about the 3 to 5 year TCO of flash and where the market's going. An important statistic is that, I believe it was through IDC, they stated 80% of customers have a plan to get to an all-flash data center within the next 3 to 5 years. This truly speaks volumes. We're seeing it not only in the enterprise space, but even down to the mid-market where it's really gaining some traction. The idea here is to challenge our customers not to invest in shares of Blockbuster, as we joke about with the hybrid arrays, but truly invest in something that's going to be scalable, that's going to improve as our IT industry continues to age, but more importantly, it positions themselves with a solution that will adapt dynamically with whatever business demands are thrown at them. And now, with all that, I'd like to urge you, Mr. Customer, to join Dell and EMC in the year of all flash.